The Sorcerer is a mage who is unable to regenerate his own magicka. He is, however, capable of absorbing the magical energies of the living, thus rendering other mages as weak as kittens. He augments this interesting magical paradox with the thickest armor for protection from physical threats, as well as heavily enchanted gear and weapons. Due to his limitations, the Sorcerer has focused an enormous amount of time and effort into learning an ancient technique that allows him to cast novice-level spells by tapping into the ambient energy of the land, air, and water. If that were as far as it went, he would likely have never risen above the rank of apprentice, possibly becoming a scholar or librarian. As fate would have it, he may not be able to regenerate magicka, but he can absorb it, rather frighteningly, from the living bodies of those near him. This ability, along with his talent for enchanting, turned him into a very effective mage killer. So effective, in fact, that the Synod became terrified of him and attempted to get rid of him. This ended in a bloodbath at the university, and he was forced to flee as an entire Imperial Legion bore down on him. They finally managed to catch up to and capture him just over the border of Skyrim, but a sudden turn of events involving a dragon allowed him to escape. I wore a set of cleric armor, which was enchanted with Fortify Destruction and Fortify Health, along with a ring, necklace, and circlet. I also carried a Stalrim sword enchanted with Chaos, Fire, and Shock damage. Okay, let's take a look at the perks that I've chosen for the Sorcerer, starting with Alchemy. I went really light, just 2 out of 2 for Mastery, and Advanced Lab, so that allowed me to create 11% Fortify Enchantment potions. That improved my enchantments a little bit, and also allowed me to create 53% health regeneration potions. So that's pretty much all I used it for. Next up we have Conjuration. I took 2 out of 2 for Mastery, and then just took absolutely everything up the Bone Collector path. I'm not going to list off each one because basically all they do is increase the power of your skeletons and the number of skeletons that you can have. Next up we have Destruction, which turned out to not be as useful as I would have hoped. I did take 2 out of 2 for Mastery and 2 out of 2 for each of Combustion, Merciless Cold, and Ionized Path, in the hopes that they would synergize with my enchanted weapon, which they did not. At least it doesn't appear that they did. So you could easily save all of those perks and put them into something else. For Restoration, I took 2 out of 2 for Mastery, Edgewalker, Respite, Descending Light, Vigilant, Duel Ward. I decided to go up the whole ward side, Forbidden Sanctuary, Bastion Ward, and I did not take Mage Ward because basically it creates a ward for you when you're casting another spell, and it doesn't create it on top of the existing ward. So I wanted to use the lesser ward in this particular build, so I didn't take that one. But everything else just increases the strength of your wards and allows you to absorb incoming magic with them. Next we have Alteration, which was very important specifically for the last perk that I'll talk about in the list. So first of all, we have Mastery 2 out of 2. Wild Shrines, which is just to use to get further along. Welllock's Dormant Arcana, which I used to choose the armor ability. So when you have an armor spell, it grants 3 magic effects, and I'll list them off in just a minute. Intuitive Magic 1 out of 2, so that I can cast novice level spells without any magicka. And the most important, really the build defining perk, is the Monarch. You are not able to regenerate magicka. You lose 10 points of magicka per second, but absorb 25 points of magicka per second from living creatures within 20 feet, friend or foe. And it should be pointed out that that is 25 points each. So if you have a number of, the more enemies you have, the more magic you absorb. Now, in a different build, if you want to use that, you can easily then cast more and more powerful spells the more enemies you have around you, which is a really cool effect. It also causes you to drain the magic of mages, rendering them basically inert. We also have enchanting. I went pretty much just straight up the tree towards Twin Enchantment and Arcane Nexus. And I also took Miracle, which I used to create my weapon. Everything else is just used for increasing the damage, or the strength of the enchantments. And we have, finally, Heavy Armor. 2 out of 2 for Mastery, Heavy Fit, Face of Death so that I can wear a circlet instead of a helmet, and Defiance because I had 1 extra perk available. And that's it. I did level up one-handed as well, just by virtue of using my sword, but I didn't put any perks into that because the focus is to do damage with enchanting.